this next question submitted by someone here tonight. Part of community policing is transparency. What does community-based policing mean to you, and how will you ensure transparency to the public you serve? 1 minute.
So transparency is basically providing, if you think about this community, that's transparent. I try to engage the community with biannual surveys to get community feedback so that helps you move forward with the complaints that you may have citizens. I open the door. Community, we cannot arrest our way out of situations we find in society. So community is a key aspect of policing. So you have to have those networks and those relationships built, but I try to publish everything that I can. There is nothing hidden. There's nothing that I will hide. I'm an open book, and what's happening.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Arnes. A part of community policing is transparency. What does community-based policing mean to you, and how will you ensure transparency to the public you serve?
So to me, community-based out there and integrating with our community. Over this last few months I've spent on the campaign trail, I can't tell you how many folks I've had say, who's the sheriff now? We don't know the sheriff. Who are these deputies? They're all brand new, we don't know them. Where's Shannon Howell? Where's Buddy Thompson? Where are the guys that we know that we've been here for 10, 15 years? They're gone. Why is that? So as far as transparency goes, transparency is more than just posting things on Facebook that are really good. Transparency is being transparent about hard things and telling you things. Putting the budget out there for people to see. That was the promise that came away in 2022, and he has not done that. He's not showed you where the money's going. He's not showed you the real reasons that people are leaving. He's not showed you the exit interviews or the lack thereof of these people. We have to be absolutely transparent.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Roberts, we're going to stay with you. This is a question submitted by someone here tonight. Your recent post absolutely degraded the intelligence of our community with your apparent, quote, dumbing down the importance of articulate communication with the use of what you called, quote, big words. Transparency and the ability to communicate well are very much needed when it comes to the elected office of sheriff. The sheriff of our county must be able to communicate well, both in the written word as well as in speech when dealing with the public, writing successful grants, maintaining accurate records, etc. We should all strive to be lifelong learners. Therefore, what is your educational background as well as your previous leadership skills that warrant you to be a successful and well-established leader in our community?
Okay. So, as everybody here, I attended high school. I graduated high school, top of my class. I was an A+ graduate. I attended a little bit of college in addition to the Missouri Sheriff's Academy. Again, I've owned and operated a business. It specifically mentioned grants in there. I've written numerous successful grants, getting several $100,000 to the sheriff's office. The purpose of that post was not to dumb down any publications we're putting out. The purpose of that post was that I'm about words, not about action. And these 14 words that we're using in the Facebook post, nobody understands. That does not resonate with the public. We need to speak to the public in a way that they understand, and that we're not alienating people that don't understand some of these big words. So if you look back over the last 3 years of Facebook posts on how can sheriff's office page, or look at the website that I just mentioned, you'll see much of this stuff on there that's being pushed out to the public is not understandable by some folks that are educated.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Chair Campbell, rebuttal, 1 minute.
Well, for one, I'd like to go over the hard things. There will be a transparency document. You all know who's hired and fired, things like that. Employment and some of the things that can be addressed. Budget, and what I said, I would make a forward-facing budget. That's absolutely important to me. Exit interviews are also needed. But with the list of things I need to accomplish, that's kind of first down the list. Do they have benefit? Absolutely. So again, what was the big words? Is that what I'm answering?
No, the question that's asked is what is your educational background as well as your previous leadership skills? That's the question.
I don't have college education, but I have numerous hours in college. I've attended some numerous advanced leadership classes. I was a team leader within the South Central Drug Task Force. I think it's sure 3.7 years. I did graduate high school, by the way.
Thank you. West Plains. And it's a long one. In a letter dated April 6, 2021, just after the newest quarter-cent sales tax was passed, you stated, quote, "In the near future, I will provide a detailed plan of action of employment opportunities, equipment purchases, jail improvements, and security improvements. I give my word I will be accountable, efficient, and transparent as possible with everything, including budgetary expenses and projections. Stay tuned to our website citizen resource page." Here comes the question. Having checked that page numerous times, I am concerned with what I see, or rather the lack of information. Employment opportunities are the only thing you mentioned that are available to your citizens. There are no financial plans available. Where has the money gone? What are the improvements that have been made to the jail? And why has there been no follow-through when you gave us your word to keep us informed? 1 minute.
Again, it is a priority, absolutely a priority. Again, I'll develop firm-based documents, but this would happen. We're just trying to get operational, and things in enforcement management, things like that through the sheriff's office. Things that get pushed to the back burner. As far as anything purchasing, things like that, I did try to push it out on Facebook. Again, anybody's welcome to call me, they're welcome to come see me. Like the clerk's office has access to records. There were certain priorities that had to get in place to kind of, again, there was a list of things that I wanted to get accomplished, and things did get moved to the backside. What was the second part of the question?
What improvements have been made to the jail? Why has there been no follow-through when you gave us your word?
So again, why that hadn't been accomplished, I kind of explained that. Jail, as things fail, as things, I came into no inspections, no upkeep, no management of systems as far as inspections of HVAC, lock mechanisms, things like that. So as things kind of fail, we kind of replace as we go, and it's kind of reactive. We've done what we can do as far as any updates.
That is your time, Sheriff Campbell. Thank you. Mr. Roberts, for about 1 minute.
Preventative maintenance is not upgrades, folks. He promised you jail upgrades, security upgrades. He promised that he was going to show you where the money was going, and he has not done that. Why is that? When I was the jail administrator, I spoke with Sheriff Campbell multiple times about upgrading things like the lights that were not functional, the locking systems, try to get things, the conditions of the jail improved, and the money just wasn't there. And come to find out, after I left, I started doing some digging, and it's because the budget was overspent last year. Not only did we not stay within the budget, we went over it. So, folks, he gave you his word and he didn't follow through. That's all I can tell you.
There was not one word produced by this bill. There was no anything
I'm sorry.
for it.
I'm sorry, we're going to move on to the next question, but we can stick with the jail because that is a very, very important topic here. Let me just, okay. We've all seen the pictures of a substandard jail, and we've all heard the promises that it needs to be replaced. We had a tax increase, there were promises, and almost 4 years, there have been new uniforms, new cars, new deputies, and the same old overcrowded jail conditions and poor working conditions for officers. You're refusing to take prisoners from other police agencies, which you are required by law to accept. You say you have no room, yet you take on your own prisoners. Are we going to get 4 more years of this? It is Mr. Roberts' turn to answer the question, so you have first answer. 1 minute, please.
Folks, I spent about 7 months under Sheriff Campbell as the jail administrator, and I can attest to some of these things. We were not taking prisoners because we were out of room. I put in a program to hire a local welder to come in and set up some new beds to increase our bed space. When I left in March, we paid for that in December. I don't know if that was done yet or not. So I don't know if the bed space has increased. When these outside agencies would call, I would do everything in my power to move these folks around and make the room that we can. I've heard some complaints from these agencies that since I left that has stopped. So I can't really account for what's been going on in the last few months.
Thank you. 1 minute, Sheriff Campbell.
He was there over 8 months. The 12 bed, that was my idea prior to him even coming to office. He did reach out, got bids for it, and they have not completed it. Well, you can see they have not completed it. But again, he's taking credit for ideas that it was shared in-house. As far as updates, there's only so much you can do with the facility that was built in 1980. The last update or addition was 1997. He will knows how many issues we have. He knows issues that
this next question from one of two readers who were brave enough to actually sign their name to the question, so kudos to this individual. It's a question from Kevin Faulkner of West Plains. As a Howell County taxpayer who voted for the Sheriff's Office tax, I would like to know specifically what you are going to do better with my tax money going forward. I would like to see good changes from my point of view. Be specific. 1 minute.
So again, setting up operationally, so with this first round, and when the tax was, we didn't see the tax rate until 2023. So again, it was getting operational, getting the equipment that they needed, and now it's about sustainability of what we have done. Now it's about trying to see what we can roll over to where if a new facility gets pushed and the commission decides to do it, or we do a bond issue, that enough money can be rolled. I didn't hopefully talk about, and we'll talk about how the county budget works and going over the budget, I can explain that. But every year, small non-fund accounts, I generally roll anywhere from $500,000 to the year that I went over budget, and hopefully I get a chance to explain that. I turned over $600,000, but cash on hand doesn't mean anything. So hopefully sometime tonight, if you guys want to know about the 100, or whatever I went over budget on, I would gladly explain the process.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Faulkner, thank you for your question. The first thing I'm going to do is from August to January, I'm going to start on the budget. And of course, I won't be able to finish it until January, until we know where the money is. But we've got to rein in the spending. We're buying things that we don't need and putting it on a shelf in the back room for shop stock. Well, folks, we don't need 10 extra AR rifles. We didn't need to buy 20 extra suppressors. How are we going to buy, I think, 35 suppressors for rifles at a cost of $20,000? We didn't need tasers yet. We had a conversation about tasers, and it was determined that they weren't needed yet. The tasers we had, there was still a life expectancy there. But yet the sheriff spent $96,000 over the next 5 years on tasers. So, we put new floors in that sheriff's office, and we've already heard tonight that sheriff's office, it needs to be back replaced. We spent $7,000 or $8,000 putting laminate floors in the offices. Folks, this is your tax money, and it needs to be spent wisely. And the last 3.5 years, it's been wasted.
Due to the project being on the ARs and suppressors, I'd like to get that out there.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, the next question is to you. It is a factual question, which is submitted by someone here tonight. What is the amount of the sheriff's budget for income expenses?
I don't understand the question.
I think it's a question about how much are we spending on salaries.
I don't have that information.
Commission, we're spending, anywhere about 2.3 to 2.4 million.
Sheriff Campbell for this next question from a reader from West Plains who is here tonight. Mr. Roberts brought up the point that there are keys that's been established and held on to at a trustworthy status. 1 minute.
I haven't had relationships, I'm an administrator, I have to maintain sheriff's operations, I don't have time to go to door to door before we go out to citizens. I had to manage West Plains, and the main president, my sheriff, RC Price was the president, or the sheriff, and that was 18 years ago. So again, we've seen us far the community, they didn't have contracts. So I really don't know if speak of that, they can always come see me, they can call me.
We're asking that you're in the office. We're asking that when we call you, you answer when you return that call. I've talked to dozens of people over these past years. I will be in the office during office hours. For years I worked for Mike Shannon. He was there 7 o'clock every morning drinking a cup of coffee when he came in the door.
Never had.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, you're going to start us off next time with another question from the other individual who was brave enough to sign his name. Experience, Mr. Roberts, please describe how many years you have in different areas of law enforcement. 1 minute.
Okay. So about 18 years total. I was a reserve officer for West Plains Police Department until 2014 when I went to work for Sheriff Shannon. During that time, I was also on the SWAT team. I had about 15 years on the SWAT team. And in mid-2010s, I took a role of leading over 15 men in various tactical operations. Under Sheriff Campbell, I was a patrol corporal, supervising 9 SROs and patrol deputies, and then Sheriff Campbell, in addition to the SWAT team guys, I was supervising. So about 30 during that time, and the inmates in that. So I think I have sufficient experience in supervision and leadership there.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, 1 minute.
Well,
through that, you have to have results and get results. Anytime meetings I go to after hours, and I'm on my phone at night, the time that's vested within the sheriff's office, I've never wanted to keep my family will tell you that I have 24 years of experience. Again, in his current 4 years as your sheriff, I'm a team leader for substance abuse task force, overseeing 6 personnel, and again, 6 personnel in the sheriff's office. And how many divisions with navigating that scope?
This is submitted by someone here tonight from West Plains. Why are there so many patrol cars sitting within the city limits of West Plains? 1 minute.
Again, that is something that I have addressed time and time again. Happens within a 15-mile radius of West Plains. That's why I'm standing up the substation. That's why I'm going to try to get them out of West Plains. It has always been a priority to get them out of West Plains. And I agree with my opponent. You know, we have Bull Springs, West Plains, and these beats. We are county officers. I've attempted and pushed, but it takes supervisors, and I cannot be there 24/7 to keep them out of the city and what they do. But that's always been a priority.
My deputies and I were out and about in the community being proactive. What has happened in the last year, 2 years since I've left that post as a corporal is we've seen a drop in the morale. And the deputies do not want to get out there and do anything that makes the sheriff with the way things are going in our sheriff's office.
Thank you. I'll stay with you, Mr. Roberts, for this question submitted by someone from Willow Springs here tonight. Mr. Roberts, you said you were the jail administrator. Why didn't you do anything for Willow Springs?
I don't really understand what they're asking for here. Are they asking for something as far as taking prisoners?
I don't know who this person is. They did not sign their name, but I would suspect that it has to do with the allegation that prisoners have been turned away from Willow Springs PD. Go ahead, you have 47 seconds left.
If that's the case, I did do something, and I frequently visited with various agencies and whatnot when they had issues with getting people in, and even after I got off the phone with him, I called and I got it sorted out. So if I wasn't aware of the situation, I can fix it, but the standing rule was that we did everything in our power to make the room to take these inmates.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Sheriff Campbell.
And I agree. Like I said, my medium, we have another additional holding cell, because you're in our holding cell full. So again, they do what they can within that facility, but there's only so many holding cells. That's just what it is. The jail is only, honestly, that is that.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with you, Sheriff Campbell, for this next question submitted by someone who don't want to go back to the good old boys Barney 5 days. What do you want to accomplish in your second term? 1 minute.
My second term is honestly, just like I said earlier, you know, statewide, the changes we made. My second term, we were getting operational in the first term. I knew it would be the most difficult relationship with the community. So again, we can't arrest ourselves out of this, but some of the issues that we can fight together as a community and law enforcement. So just in my closing statement that I'll give you, that the second term is about you all, citizens, moving forward in community.
Sheriff Campbell, I feel safe because you are sheriff, and I don't want to go back to the good old boys Barney 5 days.
The second term is not Sheriff Campbell, but I can tell you that the proactivity of our deputies has diminished. The cases numbers being sent to the prosecutors is no safer today than it was 4 years ago. Sheriff Campbell talks about getting operational. I'm sorry, but that's a slap in the face to the sheriffs beforehand, because this office is been, whether the sheriff is there or someone else is there. It doesn't matter who's at the helm. What matters is the deputies are empowered to do their jobs and get out in this community and solve crimes and fight crimes.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, I'm going to stick with you for this next. Thompson in West Plains. Mr. Roberts spoke of a culture change when Campbell took office. How would you describe this culture?
And what we began to see was a shift from a law enforcement agency to a desire to be a branch of the United States Army. Our deputies were covered up in paperwork. They were paraded and threatened with being written up or terminated, and that we value everything they do for us from the time they show up to the time they leave. And unfortunately, under Sheriff Campbell and Major Daniel, that was not happening.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell,
For one of my deputies and staff have always been a priority. You cannot look a intelligence means something, absolutely. So it wasn't about military, it wasn't about anything, it was standing up systems to have oversight. So,
Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you for a question submitted tonight from someone from Willow Springs. Why have things not changed? It is not just a dated facility. It is filthy, stuffed full of boxes, and why is that? 1 minute.
again, when I walked in the office, we talked a little bit about floors a second ago. I'm not supposed to just let it deteriorate on its head. I mean, if we're going on certain things in the sheriff's office, I had people quit because I had to clean. So again, I agree wholeheartedly. It is shocking. It is shocking that somebody can let trash in my time there, and I absolutely agree. But there's only so much you can do with the facility. You know, you put it in, let's put the garbage on, it's still dated. But I agree 100%. We normalize things we should normalize. We can let things different again. Part of that, we have respect. But I'll be shocked with the statement of what we used to claim, and then it's how I had to line stop because people struggle to control. So,
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Folks, this goes back to the morale and the environment of the sheriff's office. Happy employees find things we don't need, and it sits in the hallway for months and months on end. We sweep and mop around it for months, like the tasers I mentioned earlier.
Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you for this next question submitted by someone here tonight. Who was in charge at the jail?
So I was still the jail administrator at the time of the death. I had already tendered my resignation to Sheriff Campbell. He was gone on vacation. Immediately get her to the hospital. Unfortunately, that did not happen before she collapsed. But what I do want to mention and bring to light is that when I tried to call Sheriff, as a death in his facility.
Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal.
I absolutely did not send him the voicemail. My undersheriff called me that night. I don't know what he's referring to. Again, more mudslinging and false facts. He was over to the jail. My staff did an amazing efforts they attempted to do, but the young lady, you couldn't bring her back. So, but the staff did amazing. I did not send him the voicemail.
Thank you. We're going to stick with you, Sheriff Campbell, for a question submitted from someone here tonight.
In this entirety, the end of 2033, there was over $2.3 million in grants. I've written numerous grants. I wrote a grant for 2 additional officers before I became sheriff in 2020. I wrote that grant. I wrote a grant, a 2-year grant, or a grant and additional money for my group. But in its entirety, the sheriff's office does an amazing job of grants and grant proposals. Like I said, over not counting.
Mr. Roberts, have you ever written a grant?
I have. I've written multiple grants over my tenure at the sheriff's office. I wrote the grant that got the new canine dog. I wrote the grant from the CDC that got us $275,000 plus for the jail for COVID mitigation. As a matter of fact, I wrote a grant for a sheriff that's sitting here in the audience. I wrote a grant for that sheriff to get 2 cages for his patrol cars because his patrol cars did not have cages. I wrote a grant since then for Oregon County to get them some breaching tools for their deputies. So I'm because the sheriff's office had failed to report its NIBRS and UCR reporting to the state of Missouri. So that was kind of a gut punch to put all that work into that, and then for the ball to get dropped on something as important as NIBRS and UCR reporting.
Thank you. We're going to switch gears back to the jail. What can be done to better house inmates and give the sheriff's department a more safe environment to work in?
With the existing facility we have, there's really not a lot more that can be done to house any additional deputies, any additional inmates. We have implemented what we can as far as adding additional bunks. Like I said, that program was put in place before I left, late 2023, because I know the bill was paid in 2023. So why that's not been done is July. That should have been done. That should have been installed, and that would have increased our capacity by 12. As far as better conditions for the jailers and deputies, there's really not a lot that can be done. Upgrades to the locking systems, there's some broken glass that needs to be replaced. There's one door that has the window completely missing, and that's all things that my company's aware of, and it's just not been fixed.
Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal.
All the rest of the jail grant he keeps bragging about, it had to be written. He did secure gas management quality, but that grant can be written. So as far as the jail goes, again, there wasn't one work order pushed up to me as far as issues with the jail that we could prioritize and figure out what we need to get done. There wasn't, self-audit was conducted, or I requested an audit of the internal jail. There was never, ever, I still haven't heard the completion of that audit that I requested of what needed to be done in the jail. As far as work orders go, you submit work orders, and then you prioritize what needs to be fixed. So what he's spoken about, as far as the jail, and some of the locks that were rusted shut or rusted open, I know about it, I've documented it, I've pushed it out to the society, to the citizens. I can tell you we can do. Hopefully, in the near future, we can push with either a tax or a bond issue for the new facility. We do not meet the traditional needs.
Thank you, Sheriff Campbell, that is your time. We're going to stick with you for this next question from someone here tonight from West Plains. How will you each ensure that the missing people will be found or better investigated? Ensure that the missing people will be found or be better investigated.
Again, as we get more investigators on, I mean, that's again, it's an absolute, we want to solve these cases. Absolutely want to solve these cases. Again, if I, with staffing, if I can get additional depth, we can divert and maybe an investigator reopen that. I want to bring back the major case law, maybe that's something we can work on together. But as far as saying that we're making a guarantee, there are no guarantees in crime here. We will have that adjudication per day. We absolutely let us see close.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, Rob.
Folks, I think we can all agree there's no way that I can promise you that we're going to find these missing persons. What I can tell you is that I would go all the way to the last campaign, and that hasn't happened. And the reason that hasn't happened is because the other agencies in our area don't care to work with us. The relationships are so strained that these agencies don't want to be a part of the case law with us.
Thank you. The holder of the federal government.
I'm not sure I understand the total premise of the question, but I will say that I was over the WESO program, I know that's probably what they're talking about, for a short time. Buddy Thompson down there was over before that. There are things, pieces of equipment to use after the shooting range. We've got an armored vehicle that's going to be, $1 million of that probably. As far as why I am still showing you the property holder, I couldn't tell you. I'm in the sheriff's office since March of this year, and it has been accounted for. We do a yearly audit for each piece of equipment. As a matter of fact, Sergeant Sessions is over that program at this point. I spoke with him earlier that week. He was asking for some assistance with that program, and he told me that he has accounted for every piece of equipment. So I don't know whether
I have more permanent assets as anybody in the state. It has not been accounted for. There are audits. He left. We have been, from February when he left, up until recently, we have even got the track and locked out on what we have on the track items. I have not fallen off the books. In its entirety, in the sheriff's office, we have not a complete roll-up of property of what is left, what is gone, what is gone. And it's not just the LESO program. But we own more property in the LESO program, and it is not accounted for, and it has not been addressed properly.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we are going to stick with you for this next question submitted from someone here tonight from Mountain View County. And what do you think can be done about it? 1 minute.
It's a community partnership. This is someone in jail. You got to provide somebody purpose, open direction. So with that, through the jail navigators, their courses, giving them employment things when they come out, they give them a little bit of purpose and hope. But the environment we live in is a small percentage of our community are actually criminals. But there has to be programs on the backside or something to help them navigate the real world out here. And again, this community is understanding that the majority of people aren't bad people. They just need a hand up, not a hand out, but a hand. Recidivism and crime rates.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, Rob.
It's my opinion that the high recidivism rate is due to a lack of accountability. Cases not being filed, cases being dismissed. Folks, if we had stiffer penalties for these folks, they'd probably think twice before they recommit these crimes.
From West Plains. What is being done about meth, heroin, and fentanyl use in our county? 1 minute.
Other than just a few proactive deputies, I don't believe there's much being done at the sheriff's office level. We have a narcotics division, but it is not staffed. Should staff that narcotics division and get some people working these issues. It's no secret in our county that drugs are a major issue, and those drug addicts division and get somebody working these problems.
Thank you.
So again, there is a problem. The division within that.
Sheriff Campbell, I'm so sorry, we're gonna stick with the format. It's your rebuttal, my mistake, please go ahead, 1 minute.
Okay. So the necessary division bill, the personnel bill that are there, that's the necessary position. Absolutely, I would love to have narcotics, because there's some positions dedicated. But as far as going back to the drugs and crime, yes, I would do narcotics. Yes, it is a task force. We do make cases out here. We do have proactive cases down in activities, but they are proactive, they are making cases. We have narcotics last year here. It's just with drugs, with shooting, what we see here currently is something that is just, I don't understand. From the 18 years of experience in narcotics, why we have such a huge problem in the United States.
Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you for a question from someone here tonight from West Plains. Sheriff Campbell, without the owner's permission. 1 minute.
No, I am not campaigning. I take days off campaign. I probably dedicated too much time to the sheriff's office, not just taking off on the campaign, but I still have to maintain operational things at the sheriff's office. We have not let any signs on anybody's property or yard signs or anything else that weren't requested from us, and my wife and I went around and delivered a lot.
People reach out to me, I'm not gonna name them, but if they want to speak up or chime in on the live feed and out themselves, that's fine. That have said that they were surprised when they walked out of their house and had a Campbell sign in their yard. And they've requested that I brought a sign and either put that down or put mine up. And I haven't taken any of these down because that's a violation of the law. But and just last week, I had a business owner reach out. So this is definitely happening, folks.
Thank you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you for a question from another brave soul, Kelly Wells from Bakersfield, Pound County. Here's the question. In order for the prosecutor for charges to be filed, 1 minute.
You know, that's a pretty open-ended question because it depends on the case that's being worked. I've never heard something like that. Those last, we see delays with things that are out of our control, and there's really nothing we can do about that. So these longer cases, you know, sometimes weeks, months, years before a probable cause statement or a report gets to the prosecutor's office. So that there's really not a definitive answer to that question, in my opinion.
Thank you. Your response, Sheriff Campbell.
The way that question is phrased, I agree, if there's cases ongoing, I work cases for a year or better before I send them a probable cause statement. But an arrest generally is an immediate issue in-house, which reports generated and terminated completion. We still have failures on that, we address consistently, but that would be my answer on it. Arrest 24-hour hold should be submitted within that time frame, we can get a warrant before that 24-hour hold is up.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you, and this is from a reader in Willow Springs. What can be done in the future about these First Amendment fraudsters' harassment? 1 minute.
First Amendment, what?
This is referring to the First Amendment auditor activity. The person phrased it as First Amendment fraudsters. 1 minute.
So again, with First Amendment like that, education of our staff to make sure that they understand constitutional law, what a public forum is, what a non-public forum is. And, you know, hopefully legislation can pass something legislative to give us the right rule that when these people interfere with government operations, we can do something about it. Because the unprofessional ones that you see kind of here locally, they just come to harass and try to get something to get us during those time frames.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, your response.
Folks, as most of you well know, I'm very familiar with First Amendment auditors. I was at the Bear Crossing truck wash recently when Mr. Fish showed up and caused a scene, and I was able to successfully de-escalate. And the way the law is and the Constitution is, this is a First Amendment protected freedom of speech, and this, if you want to consider it a problem, is here to stay. Private business owners, private landowners can ask them to leave their property, but I don't feel like there's a lot that's going to be able to be done with this issue.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This is a question submitted by a reader in Willow Springs. If you were sheriff and you became aware that one of your deputies is gone, would you wait?
Well, that's easy. Immediate termination. If this was confirmed by my investigator, which I know the situation you're talking about, and it was, that would be an immediate termination, and then we would pursue criminal charges against that deputy. Finally put on administrative leave after the investigation was passed to another agency to investigate a second time, just about 2 weeks ago when that deputy was put on administrative leave. So he continued to act as a law enforcement officer, to have access to the systems and utilize the office of sheriff for his benefit for 3 months after this came to light. Folks, that's absolutely unacceptable, and that is the kind of stuff that erodes the trust in our sheriff's office.
Thank you. Sheriff Kimball.
And with that one, with direct personnel, I don't know if I can speak to it, but there was a multitude of issues that occurred during that investigation, and I don't even know if I can speak to it properly, because of the fact of, if things are properly channeled through the proper procedures, say a hypothetical, this came through and everything was properly done, if it was properly done as far as a formal complaint process, there wasn't voids in anything, absolutely, I agree. But there are reasons why, and he was removed from overtime project, but I am going to be more conservative with of what occurred and get it to an outside agency due to the fact of what did occur. So again, there was a magnitude of things that occurred through that, and he has no idea what it is or what I'm talking about, or administratively, the potential you have to do, because that deputy has rights as well.
I do want to stick with you, and this is a question from me that I think is going to help everybody understand, because we're kind of skirting around it. Sheriff Kimball, what is your hesitation to
Talk about personnel issues. I can't go into detail. I will totally, when anything comes to light or whatever, when I'm afforded the opportunity and able to, I absolutely will let the citizens know. But being administrator and HR issues and personnel issues, you cannot really speak to technically. But personnel issues are protected, and that person has rights, and certain procedures have to be followed, but that's fine.
do you have a rebuttal, Mr. Roberts?
I do. Folks, this issue has been pending for 3 months. There was an investigation done. It was found that this crime happened, and rather than pursue charges, it was passed to another agency. That deputy should have been immediately placed on administrative leave, if not terminated. There's no excuse for this.
Again, he has no idea what he's talking about internally or what happened during the course of that investigation.
Yeah, you had 40 seconds on that.
So, folks, it's no secret that I still have ties to the Howell County Sheriff's Office. A number of those are members of the FOP, which recently endorsed me. They speak to me, they call me, they tell me what's going on in this agency. So I could lay out the...
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This is a question from a reader in West Plains about the way you conducted your campaign. It begins, can you campaign on your own merit? Why do a majority of your followers choose to slander the sheriff on his campaign Facebook pages when they do not know anything about how the county operates? A lot of comments.
I'm campaigning on my own merits. A number of the people that we're referring to, they've been on my page too. There's people from all over the county, or I'm sorry, all over the state, and even all over the country. Citizen of a county, that neighbors that had a family member involved in Howell County Sheriff's Office, and they were not, in their opinion, treated fairly. Can't control that.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal, 1 minute.
It's pretty much been a smear campaign, a hit campaign from inside the camp. Yes, there was allegations made that somebody hacked into my system and systems, and that was investigated by the Highway Patrol, and that was unsubstantiated. So, as far as anything goes, in my opinion, I've tried to run it, I run what I run on, just like in my prior campaign. But again, you have questions about the individual you're talking to, that he is speaking about. Just give me a call and I'll fit you in.
Claims him numerous times if you feel that way. Okay.
I don't feel like he's incapable. I was looking at taking him under the lawn as far as leadership goes. There were issues in the jail that were not absolutely taken care of. I promoted him back in the jail because there was lateral movement happening on the front side of the house, and I plan on him bringing him out on the patrol side. So there was things that I did on forecasting things to come out in the future. So I don't discredit him But there was, I think he needs time and experience. He's young, he's ambitious, and I give him that.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Sheriff Campbell is telling you that I don't have the experience and the leadership necessary to run this office. Folks, I have more time in uniform as a Howell County deputy than Sheriff Campbell currently does, even considering his 4 years as sheriff. I have been there. I have led multiple divisions. I've led the patrol division as a corporal. I've led the SWAT team, and I've been over the jail. I think I have proven that I'm capable of leading this office. So I think the experience, when you look at it, says for itself.
I wore uniform for 3 years in the sheriff's office. I wore uniform.
On to the next question from China Township. The funding question was glossed over, and I still do not understand where the increase in monies have gone. So this is referring to the law enforcement tax increase. More money came into the sheriff's department. Where has it gone?
Okay. Folks, I can't speak completely to where that money's gone, but since I've left the sheriff's office, numerous items I mentioned earlier have come to light, and unfortunately, I don't have the information here in front of me to give you the answer on where this money's going, but it is a substantial amount of money, and we need to know where it's going.
Chair Kimball.
Repeat the question again, please.
The funding question was glossed over, and I still do not understand where the increased monies have gone.
With just a yearly expense of a patrol car, his wages, with fringe and benefits, you're talking about a $76,000 to $80,000 position, plus equipment, the car, et cetera. A lot of what he's talking about, ARs and surplus, again, he was project leads on those things. A lot of things he was project leads on, I keep getting the blame for. We've had trying to update the fleet. That's a consistent issue in the sheriff's office as far as keeping the cars due to deer strikes and things like that, and trying to get the older fleet, new fleet in. Again, I'm going to have money every year.
Thank you. Chair Campbell, we're going to stick with you from another brave soul signed his name. This is from Police Chief Wes Ellison here in Willow Springs. Sheriff Campbell, you have said that you want to officers. 1 minute, sir.
So early going on, again, as far as taking over, that's not true. Before coming in office, Mike Shannon told me that there was Mountain View had approached him, taking over that organization. I'm on it always to have a plan, to have something in place and plan and over to us. So I always will have a plan of action in place. As far as commissioning officers, that was something that I addressed with every organization, and the liability associated with that, just carrying my commission, becomes an additional liability. Now, there needs to be MOUs in place. We discussed that. I've actually sent it to different organizations where we can still maintain operational authority in the county, but operate under that MOU and not carrying a commission. Because with that commission, I absorb liability of every officer that carries that commission.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal. Wes Ellison. Sheriff Campbell, you have said that you want to take over Willow Springs and Mountain View Police. What would this accomplish? Why have you not commissioned any city officers?
Folks, I can confirm that this was an initiative at one point. Sheriff Campbell numbered that they would have to choose to close their doors and contract to the sheriff's office. I don't understand why this would accomplish nothing. A desire to take over the city of Willow Springs. I think that you all are doing a fine job here, and let's let the city limits be the city limits. If you all need help, statistically, most sheriffs that I know of commission city officers, so I really don't understand the issue there.
Thank you.
Most you know probably don't have.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, this is a question to you from a reader in West Plains. Have you made if you were to win the election?
No, I have not. I've not spoken with anybody regarding anyone that is currently employed at the sheriff's office. It's kind of hard to run on a campaign of fixing the retention and recruitment crisis our sheriff's office.
Thank you. Do you have a response, Sheriff Campbell?
Say the question again.
Yes. Have you made any promises, and this is a question to Mr. Roberts, if you win the election?
No, I haven't.
When you came into office?
Say that again?
Sheriff Campbell, can you explain what you found when you came into office at the Sheriff's Department? There's some...
There were policies, but they were, the policy that they're running off of was 2009. But again, it was just system-wise. It seemed like things that just kind of, they ran the show. Jail kind of, inmates kind of ran the jail. They could refer to as free grades, do what they wanted to do. So, address areas of cleanliness. Have people do the duties, what we're assigned to do in this profession at a higher standard.
Nothing has changed in his 3.5 years he's been there. So he mentioned policies. There was a policy in place. Sheriff Shannon instituted a policy. There has been no policy implemented except for some 2016 updates, which was also under Sheriff Shannon. Sheriff Campbell has not instituted any new policies. 2.5 years later, here we are, we're still waiting on it.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, this is a question to you, someone here tonight from West Plains. I personally know a business owner who was upset when she went to open her business and found a map where complaints from others finding Brent signs when we have heard the same of you. Can you explain?
Without knowing who you're in this case, before I put up any signs. So I can't speak to that because I don't know who it is.
Okay. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal? Sheriff Campbell, I'm sorry, this time is for a rebuttal to the question. So
Signs, I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay.
And that's what the question was.
And I said, if you're interested in returning to the question of policies, I'll find another question about policies and we can return to that. But we're just going to stick to the structure here. Okay, Sheriff Campbell, this is from someone here tonight from West Plains. Sheriff Campbell has mentioned numerous times tonight that he has had to readdress issues with staff members.
You have subordinate leaders under you that are supposed to push forward certain initiatives. So again, statistically, someone will quit after 8 out of 10 will quit after one bad day. So my subordinate staff should be driving initiatives. Things that are implied or even specified tasks or why things aren't getting completed. When you have in your own ranks people saying, that's kind of the mindset you put out fires over and over and over. But again, your supervisors, your general supervisors have to own some of that to drive that mission forward. Everything does not rest on my shoulders.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Folks, as the sheriff, everything absolutely rests on your shoulders. As your sheriff, I will take ownership for everything that my deputies and my employees do. It's young deputies that haven't been trained. There's a whole host of issues that we've been talking about here tonight that absolutely are pointing to the exact issues in this question.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, this is a question to you from someone here from West Plains, or someone here tonight from West Plains. What problems are in place for the on drug use, specifically from Howell County Sheriff's Office?
There is no program currently in place. Under previous sheriffs, we had the DARE program and Sergeant Paul Bradshaw that was very active with that program, and he was in most of the schools in this county teaching that program. And Sheriff Campbell cut the funding and we nixed that program. And he's going to tell you it's because statistically it doesn't work, but I disagree. Even if the drug use is statistically not hindered by this program, we're gaining the rapport, we're gaining the relationships by being in these schools, 4th, 5th, 6th graders, and being there and communicating with them. It's community policing 101, folks. Absolutely needs to be reinstated, and that's one of the first things I'll do in 2024-5.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, hello.
I did not cut funding with DARE due to staff and things like that. Sergeant Bradshaw, I have actually asked him recently. Get documents. I meet with schools. I provide resources and educational tools. You'll hear me speak tonight about initiatives with youth that we need to get into preventative drug awareness that goes beyond just DARE and into the student body with the older students and things like that as far as use and abuse of substances. So I agree that we absolutely need education in our community. I've said it over and over and over. We have to educate. That is one way that we combat drug abuse, substance abuse, from domestic violence to all these things go back to education. So I absolutely agree that there needs to be some projects in school, and you'll hear me talk about my closing argument.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we're sticking with you for this question submitted by someone here tonight. If there were catch those up, is there now hope to make real improvements to the jail with the tax increase money? 1 minute.
Please repeat that.
If there were previous unaddressed needs and the quarter-cent tax was used to catch those up, is there now hope to make real improvements to the jail with that money?
Absolutely, because on the front side of the house, you know, as far as staff, you know, the uniforms, duty gear, weapons, things that we talked about. Again, tasers, I'm going to supply. We didn't have enough for everybody as far as investigation, things like that. So there was a better taser that came out. I will absolutely afford my deputies every opportunity to go up against anything out here. The new tasers were that. I can distribute the other tasers through staffing. But yes, with money that is currently not have to go to assist sustainability now, will absolutely go toward any need or anything that I can do in the jail with that excess money.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal.
Folks, in my opinion, we are caught up on what we need. We have a great fleet of cars, we've got equipment, we've got uniforms, and yet studying the budget for 2024, I see no money set aside for jail improvements. And to be completely honest, at some point we start throwing good money after bad. We are going to have to seriously have a conversation about a new jail. But as far as where the money's going, I can't say if we have hope for improvements in that jail until I'm able to really understand and sit down and study that budget and see where the money has been going before we reallot.
That's right. You don't understand. There's $350,000 for capital improvements. You don't understand.
Sheriff Campbell, this is still Mr. Roberts' time. I apologize. Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we are going to, we have another brave soul here tonight who signed their name to a question. This is from Gloria Macy in West Plains. What does the hiring process look like with your business and what's the number of employees?
My business is very small. I think at the max, I had, I believe, 7 employees. Right now, I have 1 and 1 part-time employee. So we just do an in-person interview. I talk to them about their background, their experience, things like their criminal history, driving record, things such as that, and then I make a determination from that.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, do you have a rebuttal?
As far as hiring process goes, I mean, I absolutely think we need to do more on that front loading and hiring, so it kind of goes back into retention, front load the hiring process. But currently, we go through the interview process, they fill an application, we do background checks, we set up interviews with that person, they go through an interview board. It's with those board members, we decide the decision is to hire or not. As far as that goes, I mean, again, I think we need to front load and do more on the front end as far as my detective test things that other organizations do that we don't do.
Is that your answer? Process in his business, but in your
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I think I accept your answer because I think it was on topic. So we'll just move along. And Sheriff Campbell, this is for you from a person here tonight from West Plains. Budget. But you mentioned hoping to have the chance to explain why Matt says you went over budget. So please do explain. 1 minute.
So with the budget, the way the county government operates, we pay bill cycles in 2 terms or 2 cycles in December. I forecasted bills going into January. I had 2 largest, so I had plenty of room in the first term or the first round and the second round. But I had 2 invoices come through that was pretty substantial come due. But again, I own that. But due to the way that we do our budget cycles and the way that operates, I tried to get ahead. I tried to forecast to keep us operational. And I did. It was an oversight. It won't happen again.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Roberts.
Folks, I've got a breakdown of the budget in front of me here, and in November, we had $610,460, $700,000+ in 30 days, and it's because we were buying things that we can't justify, suppress, not be justified, and cannot be explained away.
Thank you. This is just an announcement. It is now 7:30, so we have collected all the questions we will collect for the remainder of the event. We're going to try to get to all of the remaining relevant questions. next one is for yet another brave soul. Thank you so much, Katie Parker from West Plains, for Mr. Roberts. It is a long process to receive logs for a county member having issues with getting records from Howell County.
Missouri Sunshine Law spells that out, folks, and you're supposed to have a response in those records within 3 days. In my personal experience, that has not been the case. And some of the records I've requested, I know there are records there that are part of my request and for no reason, or possibly that the records custodian does not have access to some of these records. So I think that needs to be rectified, and my stance on that is we would follow Missouri Sunshine Law.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal.
Real quick, I want to talk about the things, the suppressors, the rivals, things like that he keeps bringing up. Again, he was a project lead. When he talks about the $600,000, that's cash on hand.
Sheriff
So
Campbell,
again, you have to respond in a timely manner. The clerk he's talking about is my records custodian. There's not much that she doesn't have access to. So as far as response to the question, again, what they're seeking and what they're doing. As far as requests that he is sunshining us to death on, we do it as quickly and as timely as we can and still maintain operations within the sheriff's office.
thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we're going to stick with you for this next question, which is from someone here tonight from West Plains. Back to the jail. Sheriff Campbell, I have heard from your current jail administrator that he cannot get a straight answer from you with issues in the jail. Why is the jail still in turmoil when Matt is no longer working there? Thank you. I have heard from your current jail administrator that he cannot get a straight answer from you with issues in the jail. Why is the jail department still in turmoil when Matt is no longer working there?
I have no idea what we're referring to as not getting a straight answer. Every time we speak with him, everything seems to be good. My understanding, when I was talking about the other day, you kind of got to pull an answer out of him. Love the guy to death, but I have no turmoil going on within the jail, so I don't know what we're referring to or in the jail. I don't know of any issues.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, offer a rebuttal?
Folks, as I've told you, I'm still in pretty close, constant communication with employees at the sheriff's office. And what this question asker, sometimes when you get an answer, it's very vague and you don't really know which way to go on it. I actually spoke to the current jail administrator about probably the issue you're talking about. That's going to be in the office during office hours that will be there to answer questions and give clear, concise answers and guidance to the employee when they need it.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you. This is submitted by someone from West Plains for those in various communities and for those who respond with the deputies in this county. Lack of training.
This consensus around the county seems to be that we are not working well with them. We need to be training with them. I recently attended a landing zone class. They're usually running their own cars, using their own gas, and they've got most of the time substandard equipment because they don't have the budgets for it. So we need to be apt to radios, communications. There's a number of things that we can probably do to help them. And like I said, I've had these conversations with several of the chiefs around the county, and this.
We're always at the beck and call of any organization. We are not firemen. We will help with drag a fire hose, we will help with traffic control, we will help with whatever. But we are not firemen. We are not EMS. We will protect the scene, we will secure a scene, we will do our job, duty, and responsibility as it relates to that. There's 60 hours of built-in training, paid training, with the current schedule that they have. I don't turn down training. I haven't taken the training I've turned down yet. If there is an issue, I have an open door. You can call me and say, hey, we would like assistance with X, Y, and Z. But we are not firemen. We will secure that scene, we will do what we need to do, we will drag a hose, but we're not firemen. If they don't submit more, we'll go to shoot classes, we'll do whatever. But there's a multitude of things we do day in and day out that we don't get submitted training for. So I would see the need for that, then I would be.
Someone here tonight from West Plains. Obviously, transparency is a problem. Sheriff Campbell, how can you improve transparency so citizens would feel you're being more transparent? And what will you do to be more transparent?
Front facing document with the budget. There are still things I want to do and push out as far as transparency. We have an engaged product where you can go back in and refer to or call and speak with deputies, or negative or positive. I do a community survey to get feedback from the community. As far as transparency goes, I'm trying to incorporate the community. I'm trying to be as transparent as I could. If anybody has any open ideas, I'm sure that I would adopt them and go on. Because I absolutely feel that we are a team together, and we need to know what's going on in any atmosphere. The jail reports, the grand jury reports, that's all published. Operational side, that is all published if you go to the website. If you come to my office, there is nothing that is hidden. There's nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, rebuttal. Absolutely. Obviously, transparency is a problem. Sheriff Campbell, how can you improve transparency so citizens could feel you're being more transparent, and what will you do to be more transparent?
So I'm not Sheriff Campbell, but this would be really the only way we're pushing out any kind of information. A large populace here in Howell County is not on Facebook. So we need to find ways to communicate with those folks that does work. And I keep mentioning Sheriff Mike Shannon, but many of you tuned into his rant. There are definitely ways that we can get out there and share information. As far as the website goes, folks, if you've been on it, you know it's extremely hard to navigate. You can get lost on there very easily. It's not easy to find the documents you're looking for. So what I will probably do is employ somewhat current information and share things with our community, because I don't want to hide anything.
Thank you.
A weekly monitor goes out to every news media source.
In your campaign materials, you say the current sheriff's office lacks leadership, yet you do not delineate any specific failures of adequate service based on your claim. Leadership is a very subjective term. How you would overcome those perceptions?
Can you repeat the first part?
Absolutely. In your campaign materials, you say the sheriff's office lacks leadership, yet subjective term. Can you provide specific leadership failures, and given your lack of experience, how would you overcome those perceptions?
So I would agree. It's because I don't want to be mudslinging. I don't want to run a dirty campaign. My goal, folks, is just to push the issues out and show you what is going on enough that we definitely have a leadership problem within the walls of the Howell County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, rebuttal?
Leadership is a broad term. Leadership is basically purpose and direction and motivation. There's leadership and there's management. There's two different things. As far as that is an industry trend, if you have a business, it is hard to find employment. People that were fired or whatever, if you were sitting in mind, how do you get opportunities as far as around those, better salaries, better equipment? Well, I have hit every rung strategically from my level that I can hit and succeed as far as morale goes, as far as those parameters that we are told to hit strategically. I've hit every one of them. Some point in time, it goes back to the individual. Some point in time, you have to wake up today and say, I'm going to have a good day. It can't continually be about toxic leadership.
Sheriff Campbell, would you please expand on the policies you haven't implemented?
So coming in office, I did know that there was issues with the policy. I knew that the last update was 2016. There have been GOs written. There were 14 records were produced. Again, GOs to get us grant compliant. All these issues I knew. I'm working forward on. Again, I come in 2016 last update. I come in office 2021. It wasn't a priority prior to that. I'm trying to get as much fixed as I can navigating through. But there were documents in place, operational guidance from DOJ jail standards, state jail standards. All these policies and procedures or guidance material was provided due to the fact that I knew that I had issues with the policies. So anything that come after that, if the policy or the GO come down, they knew that superseded the current policy, and we are working through it, trying to get there.
It's from 2009, and that was implemented by Sheriff Shannon, and a lot of the content of that was derived, if I'm correct or if I'm incorrect, Sheriff, please correct me, but a lot of that was derived from the Greene County Sheriff's Office. Is that correct, Sheriff? Folks, they are a monster sheriff's office just up the road from us. There is nothing in there that is inadequate. What we have is we've changed and we've written these handbooks, which are not legal documents. We're not gonna be able to take these to court with us when they're gonna want to know if we follow. There are better options out there to get a policy put into place, and after August, I'll start working on that immediately.
Matt, are you encouraging current deputies and admins to make the current sheriff look bad?
Absolutely not. Moral code. Like I said earlier, the deputies have expressed to me that they don't want to do things that make him look good, and I have discouraged that. I've encouraged them in the area of this county, so to say that is absolutely preposterous. No.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, do you have a response?
Well, that's pretty sad. So that kind of shows you what's going on in the sheriff's office and what I'm trying to fix. So that is sad to hear that they have a duty to serve you, but because they have a problem with me, they're not going to serve you in a proper manner. That should kind of let you know of what I'm fighting on a level that I'm fighting. Going back to the policy, I don't want to do a cut and paste policy out of Greene County. I don't want to do it. The policy, $20,000 wasn't everything that you could want to do your job efficiently, why they would not serve you because they have a problem with me. That is truly sad, and I'm glad I'm enlightened to that.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, we are going to stick with you for this question. As a sheriff, you as a sheriff making things better in the sheriff's department, I think is this context. But have you opened your door to the deputies and other employees?
I'm always about what has occurred is throwing things at a wall and taking guidance. That needs to be refined. We refine constantly. I'm always open. I have had on my goal list to seek right with staff and let them see they can come to me at any time. I have tried to make their job and life easier to some extent, but we still have to have managerial oversight, and there has to be processes in place to properly provide a.
So the question is whether or not Sheriff Campbell has opened his doors to deputies to take any of their input to make the employees' jobs easier, and can he give a specific example?
Okay. So he didn't give any examples, but I can. We've had multiple meetings with Sheriff's Office staff, with Patrol Division, with different divisions, and I've been a part of those, and even multiple one-on-one or one-on-two small closed-door meetings where we have given input, we have told the sheriff what's going on, we've told him how things are being perceived by his staff, but folks, he doesn't listen to whatever Jason McDaniel says, and that's how we're running our sheriff's office.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Roberts, we're going to stick with you for enforcement.
That's easy. I was on a search warrant on Webster Street in West Plains, and he fled to the basement. He reached around the hallway at the bottom of this split-level house, and he started shooting through the door. And one of those rounds inside the house, the one that went through the door, passed very, very closely between me and Deputy Darren Spangler, and I was actually impacted by some pieces of glass.
In a prayer dispatch, making sure that, hey, they're going to come out on top. Or when you get a call that, hey, a deputy's been in a wreck, and, as far as them getting hurt, those are scary days. As far as personally, probably back in my undercover days when somebody's, pretty much got a hand in their lap and they're waiting to see if you're trying to figure out if you're the police or not the police, or search warrants when we've actually been fired on. But as far as being a sheriff, those calls that you wish you never hear, that you never receive, when you get ones like that or things like that, when it directly deals with your personnel.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, this is from a reader in Willow Springs. We notice many sheriff's cars around Foster's Body Shop. Some are wrecked, some are being painted, some are being fitted with bumpers, lighting, etc. Since Mr. Foster has been on your payroll, leads to competitive bidding for these services.
Absolutely. Early on, we marked cars from about 21 to 22 on our top time sponsors auto body receives it, or the insurance company will direct when they receive the quotes, hey, send it to Foster's or send it to Mr. Dent. So absolutely, quality is bought off state contracts. The equipment is bought at a discounted price. I can go about anywhere as long as I'm not spending $12,000 in a 90-day period for anybody. I can have anybody outfit my cars. A lot of the cars that we currently get are out of Christian County. They're already upfitted besides the radio that we put in it. So as far as cars getting repaired, things like that, absolutely, we follow the bid process.
Missouri State for Mr. Dan and Gobles and everywhere it goes, because the way it works is the deputy goes and gets a bid from Gobles, they go and get a bid from Mr. that's cheaper than both of those and is awarded the work.
Thank you. This is a question to you, Mr. Roberts. To your knowledge, does the Sheriff's Department currently own a boat or jet skis? When and where could they be used? How could they be used? Where are they currently stored?
I'm not aware of a boat, but yes, we do have a jet ski. It was procured through that LESO program. It was at a facility in Kentucky where I was going to get a box trailer, which was to be used to store a side-by-side so it would be ready for use. The jet ski was there, and Sheriff Campbell, over the time of this LESO program, he encouraged me to procure items that we could keep, and then once they fell off the books, we could sell them and put that money back into general revenue.
So the program worked, so that it was kind of his idea, so it's kind of putting the blame on me. But I want to hit quick, real quick, there's internal processes, and that's handled by a lieutenant. So as far as the bid process pending, again, $12,000 through a 90-day period, I can send equipment or whatever I feel like as far as upfitting, things like that. This LESO program goes and the jet.
This is submitted from a reader in Mountain View. Are you familiar with the Missouri Officer's Bill of Rights? And have you ever fired anyone without following this law?
Yes, I am familiar, but also there's kind of a gray area because you of the Officer Bill of Rights.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, a response?
I became aware of the Peace Officer Bill of Rights at a training I attended in Kansas City alongside Sheriff Campbell. And we spent many hours discussing the ins and outs of that law and how it pertains to employees and employee issues. And after that, I know of at least 2 that are sitting here in this room that were fired as a direct violation of the Peace Officer Bill of Rights.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, this is from a reader in Moody. What are you going to do about all these illegal gambling machines in these businesses? Aren't they illegal in Missouri?
And one of them seems to be illegal and one of them seems to fall within a gray area of the law. So until the law catches up with that machine, there's not a lot I can do. I will definitely research it and make sure that my information is correct, but that has not been a priority on my campaign trail.
A response, Sheriff Campbell?
They've been around for a little while. The Gaming Commission with the state are over those machines. It does, I mean, they are everywhere, so I guess it doesn't seem to be anybody's radar or priority, just kind of like the head shops and all the rest of the things that basically aren't enforced or what you can buy. Initiative, I'd like to see them push money to the sheriff's office because we know pretty much where they're all at instead of going to the state. But no, that is not a priority.
Thank you. Sheriff Campbell, this is a 2-part question submitted by someone here tonight. We're going to start with you. The first one is a yes or no. Have you seen the videos, photos, graphics, or eyewitness accounts of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life this past Saturday? So that's yes or no. Second part is, if you were charged with the security of that same event, what would you have done differently?
I absolutely think the sheriff's office personnel and surrounding personnel could have done a better job of securing that location. If you have somebody within 100 yards on top of a building and witness them come in, I absolutely agree or state that our local staff and sheriff's office and surrounding agencies could have done a better job of securing that location and that perimeter for that event for such a high profile dignitary.
Long-time member of the SWAT team, I am experienced in private security and dignitary protection type details. And I can tell you that if I was charged with or a part of the security detail that day, I would have had rings of security. And we would have owned and occupied the spaces on top of those roofs, on top of the water tower you saw, and we would have denied anyone's access, had the authority, whether the feds tell them to or not, that they would engage a shooter as soon as they saw that it was a threat, whether the feds said shoot or not.
Thank you. We're going to stick with you, Mr. Roberts, for what's going to be our final question. This is, and Chief Justice John Marshall states, quote, "Thus, the particular phraseology of the Constitution of the United States confirms and strengthens courts, as well as other departments, are bound by that instrument." In view of that quote, here's the question. When was a law unlawful and therefore unenforceable?
So very simply put, a law is going to be unlawful and unenforceable. Within 3, I believe, where it really didn't have anything to do with law enforcement, but what it did decide was the Supreme Court was the final authority for constitutional interpretation. And That's what we go by to ensure that an officer is acting within their scope. But again, to answer your question, that law is unconstitutional and unenforceable the minute it's enacted, and it violates the Constitution of our United States.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Sheriff Campbell, 1 minute.
So in that case, does that judiciary presidents, but as a sheriff, we enforce the laws and we keep the peace. It's not my job to determine what is unconstitutional law. I get an argument in which the courts interpret the laws and what is wrong or right. Our 3 founding documents are the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and our Bill of Rights. They give supreme power to the people. If something is unconstitutional, something I have an opinion, yes, I do. There's laws out there that scare me, yes. But if there's a blaze, they should really be in law enforcement.
Thank you. And I have to thank you all. This has been an extremely stimulating debate. You have had so many important questions. Thank you, everyone who submitted a question. Our time for the evening has concluded, but we are going to move on to closing statements. Since Mr. Roberts began, that Sheriff Campbell is going to begin this time. And 3 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
Me?
Yes, sir.
No. I knew the first term would be the hardest and most difficult. We came through the change with remarkable accomplishments. It's undeniable. By getting the tax passed in itself changed the course of the sheriff's office. It was eating itself, and it provided opportunity of operation, financial stability to team members, more staff throughout the organization, updated equipment, training opportunities, brought us into the 21st century. So I got to thank the Howell County citizens. I'm looking forward to the next term and being an even stronger focus on proactive crime prevention and community engagement, continuous improvement and modernization of our enforcement practices, and implementing crime mapping, bringing back the major great community event, which would be Sheriff's Day. Education through the Crisis Intervention Program Specialist Michael Lewis on area resources and peer support to elevate our services. With my knowledge and background in combating the main driver of crime, substance abuse, I would like to combat it through education, both in schools and community-based. Building anti-drug coalitions, points of failure. This term was provide more oversight. This term, I'd like to provide more oversight on reports and follow-ups with victims in case initiation to adjudication. Driving the community and citizen-first mindset and working toward personal responsibility and certainty of punishment when it comes to perpetrators of crime. Look back on the significant change in this term. Imagine what has been accomplished and what could be accomplished in the second term. I'd love and appreciate your support August 6th. But more importantly, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, closing statement.
Folks, over the last couple hours, you've heard a lot of excuses from Sheriff Campbell as to why things haven't happened. He's made promises to this community that he has not followed through on, and there's just excuse after excuse as to why. Our sheriff's office cannot continue down this path. I supported Sheriff Campbell in 2020, and a lot of law enforcement did. This time, they're supporting me. I'm the only candidate endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police Local Lodge. They unanimously, not one dissenter, good old boy system. I think you've heard some things here tonight that will show you that not only is it not gone, it's just got different boards in it now. I had no intentions of running for sheriff in 2024 until I saw how things were really being run in the sheriff's office. There was a point that I was within the inner circle, and as a lieutenant, I saw how decisions were made or not made, and we cannot continue that path. I left a career where I had a future and a retirement to pursue this for this county. I've got the necessary experience to lead the sheriff's office and succeed as your sheriff. I've got the relationships in this community and with the other elected officials and leaders of other first responder divisions and entities. I've got the ability to turn around and get your vote on August the 6th.